Here. I didn't know quite how I was going to approach this particular video, other than just going into it and having a conversation with you, even though no one's responding back directly to me. Um, this is a monologue, of course, and it's about people who you find yourself carrying. Hear what I said? Carrying other people. In other words, carrying people's burdens, and they're not your own. I was told, I was taught many years ago that those of us that are strong must help to carry the burdens of those that are weak. Depending on how you look at that contextually, uh, that's not true. Now, I find throughout my life that we all as individuals, note that I said individuals, we all as individuals are given a lot in life. Not lot as in quantity, but lot as in terms of a particular task, a particular journey, a particular purpose. So we all have our own lot in life, and that's ours. Your particular purpose in life may not be what mine is. Mine may not be what the next individual's is. I think we all have one common goal. Let me straighten that out first. But we all have our own, or should have our own individual purpose. Now, the trials, the tribulations, the stumbling blocks, the roadblocks, the obstacles that we face, we should face them as individuals because they belong to us as individuals. Not to say that we can't, along the way, get assistance, get a little help to carry us through those situations. But no one should bear your burdens for you because they are catered, they are established for just you. Because if someone is carrying your burden, you will miss, excuse my expression, all that heavenly glory. As Bruce Lee said, it's your burden. My experiences are my own. Yours are your own. Rough example. If you are having a problem in a relationship uh, with a loved one, and you're constantly knocking on my door, you're constantly calling me on the phone, texting me saying, can you help me? Can you come over to the house? I'm having problems with so on and so forth. Okay, I pull you over to the side. I give you some advice from my years of experience, hypothetically, in this particular instance. And I say, this is how I dealt with or handled that situation in my life in time past. So you go from there. I'm just giving you some guidance. All right. Now, they say, okay, walk away. I leave. Half an hour later, the next day, early in the morning, I get a call, several texts again about the same situation. Uh, they said that they were going to do XYZ. Or this particular situation just cropped up. How am I going to handle this? Okay, and this goes on and on and on and on. What I'm getting at is this: there has to come a time when we plant our feet firmly on the ground and be a man and be a woman and accept the task at hand wholeheartedly and just simply deal with it. Because therein lies the lesson with us facing the issue, facing the problem. Anytime you turn away from your issue or your problem, when you have something set before you, when you turn away from it, when you avoid it, you're making the situation worse. And you never learn the lesson. And there's always a lesson. If you're having relationship problems with your spouse, someone can give you some advice, someone who's dealt with that before, not someone who's necessarily in the same situation as you, who's single, but someone who's actually successfully dealt with that situation before can give you advice. But it stops there. They cannot intrude in your life and carry that burden for you. The same thing is true if you're always broke, no money, but you have a job. For example, let's say that you are on a job. You get a $500 check after taxes every 2 weeks. You have a coworker who receives the same amount of money every 2 weeks. You both are even. You're equal. 500 each. You seem to always have money for the 2 weeks prior to the next paycheck. In other words, all the way up until the next paycheck, you have balanced your paycheck out to pay towards certain bills, and you have enough for lunch, you have enough for gas money or transportation, all the way up until the next time you get paid. But your coworker who receives the same exact pay as you, and let's say that coworker doesn't have as large of a family as you may have, but they never seem to have any money, and somewhere after the paycheck is meted out to all of the employees, let's say it's a he, 3 days later, he's trying to borrow money from you. Excuse me, Joe. Can I borrow $10 until we get paid? I'm kind of short this week. Okay. But this becomes cyclic. It becomes a habit. He's doing this all of the time. And you have to nip it in the bud sometimes and say, stop. What's going on? I can't continue to give you my money from my paycheck because I have a family to take care of, and I have managed my money to the point where I know where my dollars are from day to day up until the next pay period. What's going on with you? So what I'm saying in essence is that person is not financially literate. They're not financially literate. They're not smart with their money. They have the habit of spending and or blowing their money. Don't carry that person. When your family members keep coming to you to borrow money and they have a full-time job, you have a full-time job and you have a family, there has to come a time when you say no. But we oftentimes feel intimidated by our family members. Sometimes we are even afraid of our family members, or afraid of ridicule or them talking about us if we don't comply with their request. In some instances, it might feel like a demand. Someone comes to me and say, Reginald, let's say it's a family member. Reginald, I need $50. $50? I may just ask them what they need the $50 for. And if they don't come correctly and say, well, it's for my utility bill, okay, if I have it, I may give it to them. Okay? Now, let's say I give them the $50 for their utility bill, and they say they're going to pay me back in a week or 2 weeks. First of all, this is my rule of thumb. Number one, I don't loan money as a general rule. I don't loan people money because I've been burned too many times over the years. And so, wisdom dictates not to do that anymore. I'm an old head now. I know what's going on. I know what time it is in the world. So let's say I did give this family member $50 and they say, in 2 weeks when I get paid, I'll give you your money back. Okay, 2 weeks comes. It's payday for them. They don't come forthright to me and say, here you go, here's the money I gave you. It's 2 days past payday. Then it's 4 days past payday. And then it's a week past their payday. And they never came back to pay me the $50. A flag, a light goes off in my head. Let me tell you, if we switch it around, how it would be with me. And I don't borrow money, period, as a rule. I'm that intelligent with my money. So let's say, for all intents and purposes, that for this video, hypothetically speaking, if I go and ask a family member for $50, let's make somebody up. Hey Charlie, do you happen to have $50 I can borrow into payday? And because he knows me, he said, sure, Reginald. Okay, here you go. And I said, I'll give it to you on payday. He said, oh, no problem. The reason he's responding to me that way is because he knows my character already, and he know I'm going to pay him back. That's me for real. So now, payday is 5 days away. Okay? I go to Charlie, and I give him the money 3 days before payday. And he looks at me and say, oh, thank you. And he leaves. What did I just create? I created trust in Charlie. Charlie knows now that possibly I'm reliable and I'm loyal to my word. I keep my word. And let's say I've done it a few times with Charlie over a period of time, and Charlie knows that I always pay back on time or before time. Now let's flip back to the other side. I'm borrowing, or Charlie's going to borrow $50 from me. And as I said before, it's 5-6 days past his pay period, and he told me he was going to pay me on payday. Do you think that Charlie forgot that he owed me? He may have conveniently forgot about me. He may be ducking me because he's used the money for something else, or maybe he created another reality in terms of something he had to do in terms of an obligation. But that's not my problem. If Charlie told me that he was going to pay me the $50 back in 2 weeks on his payday, then that's what Charlie should do. Or he should never make the commitment to me to pay me back on that date. And this is my belief. I would rather, if I loan someone some money, I would rather you tell me realistically when you can give me the money back, as opposed to tell me something that you think I want to hear, or you give me a shorter period of time that you're going to give me the money back in hopes that I'm going to give it to you quicker. In other words, you may think it's easier to get the money from me if you promise to give it to me in a shorter period of time, as opposed to when you really can give it to me. Let's say, for example, you need 2 weeks or 3 weeks to be able to build the money up to give back to me. But you tell me you're going to give it back to me Friday, and this is Monday. You know full well you can't give me the money back on Friday. But you figure that, oh, it's not that long period of a time. He's going to definitely give me the money if I tell him I'll give it to him Friday, even though I know that I'm not going to be able to do it. So I'm going to say what I think is going to get me the money. I've had people do that to me before, and I had to give them the lesson. The lesson again was this. I look at them, I said, if you were not able to give it to me when you said you was going to, then be honest with me and tell me when you know for sure that you can give it back to me. It's not the money. It's never the money. It's the principle. And I mean that sincerely. It's always the principle. Just a couple days ago, I was in my store. One of my pretty regular customers came in. He calls me teacher like everybody else. And he said, hey, Teach, if I leave this telephone here for collateral, would you loan me $12? This is a true story. Would you loan me $12 because I'm on my way to do a job, and I'll be back at your store at 6 o'clock. More than likely I'll be there before 6 o'clock. And I looked at him, I said, okay. In my mind, he didn't have to leave the phone, but he did. He left the phone like as collateral, earnestly. And he said he'd be back at 6, maybe earlier. Well, 6 o'clock came. Oh, I didn't say this. I gave him $12 and he told me he was going to give me $20 just for troubling me, just for doing it. And I said, you don't. And he said, oh no, I want to give you $20. Now that's his word, right? So he's obligated now. Even if I didn't take the $20, he's still obligated because that was his word. So now 6 o'clock comes around. He didn't show up. 6:30. Now it's 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I close at 9. Now it's 10 o'clock at night. So I go across the street to the local filling or gas station. I know the people there. I'm talking to them for a moment, giving him some time, buying him some time. I say maybe he works on cars and things like that. I say maybe he's running a little late. And I tried to call him, but it went to voicemail. No response. I left my store at about 11 p.m. yesterday, and he had not shown up. And I could have not missed him because he knows if I'm not at my store, I'm across the street at the other place for 5 minutes and I'm back at the store. So now, this morning, he pops back up in the same gas station that I go and get coffee at sometimes. I'm in there talking to the people while I get my coffee, and he walks in. And I said, what happened to you last night? I was at my store until 11 waiting on you. He said, oh, you were? I said, yes, I was. And so he said, here, this ought to help. So he gives me $18. He gives me the 12 back plus $6. He told me $20. And he kind of sloughed it off and grinned and walked away, and then came back to the front of the counter. And I looked at him, and as I say, it's about principle. And I looked at him and I said, excuse me, you still owe me $2. He said, oh. He goes in his pocket and he reluctantly pulled the $2 out. Now, if he was frustrated, I could care less. If he was angry, I could care less. It's about the principle. We have to get to a point in our lives where we own up to our own words. Because if you don't have a strong and powerful word, if people can't trust you, then you have nothing. That's rare nowadays. And you have to call people on it and be polite about it, be courteous. You say, excuse me, you still owe me this, you still owe me that. And you make them responsible, you make them accountable for what they told you. And that's what I did. And he handed it to me reluctantly. He didn't argue with me. He wouldn't have argued with me anyway. But anyway, he gives me the other $2. And I said, thank you. And I wasn't going to give it back because I'm standing on principle. So the downside to that situation was this, as it relates to him. You have to be very careful when you're dealing with people like that who don't fulfill their obligations to you, because that's very much a character issue. He told me $20 when he got back. First of all, I waited for him past my store hour time because he told me that he would have arrived at 6 or before 6. I closed at 9. So we're talking 5 hours later, still waiting on him, and he didn't show up. So he inconvenienced me all of those hours, even though I could have found something to do in my store, paperwork or whatever. That's neither here nor there. But he inconvenienced me all that time. And I was going to hold him to it. The fact that he disrespected me, basically. And I wasn't going to settle for anything less than the $20 that he said. Especially on top of the fact that he did not fulfill his word. So those types of individuals, and then he comes to me and he gives me less than what he said, like, okay, this little chump here, he's just gonna take this. He got the 12 back and here's a few extra dollars. No, not me. So what that did for me as it relates to him was cause me to stick the long handled spoon out to him and feed him that way. So in other words, he won't get that favor anymore because He didn't keep his word, and he knew exactly what he was doing when he called himself paying me back, and he gave me less than what he said. So if you want to play the game with me, I'm an expert at the game. So I don't want to carry his burden. That's the premise of this whole video, carrying somebody's burden. You are a man, carry yourself. Now, as it relates to people that are homeless, who are legitimately homeless, down and out, I've helped people forever, many, many years. And I still continue to do that. But some people, sometimes, they need to help themselves. You can't carry everyone. And you shouldn't carry everyone, because it's going to cause you hardship, possibly. It's going to cause you energy loss by having those types of people around you and associating with those people on that level. You need to stay as far away from people like that as possible, because they are going to bring you down emotionally, especially family. When family's always calling you for favors. Can you babysit your little nephew? Can you babysit your cousin? These types of things. Or your children calling you on the phone to babysit your grandchildren. Nothing wrong with that in and of itself. But it's when they want to go to the club on a regular basis or on the weekend, as if you don't have a life yourself, or you don't want peace of mind. It's not that you don't want to babysit or see your family, your grandchildren and such. It's the purpose of the individual on the other side. What's your purpose? You brought them into the world. So you need to be creative enough to say, well, I'm going to set up some sort of schedule, maybe with a nephew or an uncle or aunt, to babysit them, and not let daddy do it. And not let daddy be the go-to person, or grandmother be the go-to person, or my father be the go-to person, or my mother be the go-to person. I'm going to have to figure out a better strategy if I want to go out on the town and party and club and this type of thing. I don't subscribe to that. I'm not going to watch your children, because those are your children. Now, in my golden age, as I'm getting older, I'll call you. What's the grandson doing tonight or this weekend? Ask him, does he want to come and spend some time with granddaddy, grandmama? Oh, he said he would. I said, okay. Tell him I got some things for him to do. You know, we're going to have fun. We'll get some movies and so forth, play some board games or whatever. Okay? Now, for the granddaughter or the grandson, or my daughter or son, I should say, to call me and say, hey, Dad, can you keep so-and-so tonight? Wait a minute. We didn't plan this out. You're not going to give me fair warning a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, that you want me to babysit or watch my grandchild? We don't do the spur of the moment, the last minute thing, especially when you're going to go and have fun on the town. We plan things. I'm old school. That's how we do it. And old school doesn't mean that that's not an intelligent move on my part. Old school means that that's the foundation even for the new school. New school only simply means that you're younger. And I'm from a different generation. But my generation is the foundation for your generation. So now, I'm not going to carry your burden. You have a car payment, right? You can't keep gas in your car. You're always calling me. You got a few dollars for gas? No, I don't. You have a job, right? Don't embark on this venture, purchasing a car, and you can't keep gas in it. Minimally keep gas in it. Not to mention maintenance, oil, preventative maintenance. Maybe somewhere down the road when your tires wear out, you have some money put away to replace the tires, change the tires for the wintertime or what have you. You have to think about these things when you buy the car. It's not my burden It's not my job to carry you in that sense. My children know this. If you are grown, the same stance that you took at some point in time when you told daddy that I'm a grown man, I'm a grown woman. Well then, you grown man and you grown woman do what a grown man and a grown woman does and handle your business. And your business is not my business. I'm not supposed to handle your business. Now, if peradventure I'm standing off to the side or I'm aware that you're going through some financial distress and it's not something that you can control and it's something that just fell upon you, I'll assist you in that regard. But if you're being frivolous with your money, you just received your income tax, $2,000 or $3,000 because you have earned income credit because you have 4 or 5 children, and you go out and you start buying nails and getting your feet pedicured, and you're buying weave for your hair, and you're going to get a new car, and you already have a car that needs a little work, and all you have to do is put a couple $100s into the car, but you want to style around and be seen by people, or you're going to go buy some furniture on time as opposed to just paying for furniture at another location and buying it outright. But you don't want to blow your money, which you really wouldn't be blowing your money on the furniture. It's sort of an investment. It's paid for, and you don't have to worry about a bill coming every 2 weeks or every month for the furniture. It's paid for. So I'm not supposed to put that bill. It's not my bill. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm saying. Even though your children who want you to keep bailing them out of certain situations, even though your friends and your associates who want to keep asking you for things and keep borrowing money from you, or even borrowing your time and wanting you to assist them in every aspect of their lives, and you hardly ever feel like you have any freedom and time to yourself, you have to say no. Regardless of what their feelings are, set that straight. Give them the lesson. And after a while, they will know that they're going to get the lesson if they ask you for something out of pocket. If they ask you for something that they know they shouldn't be asking you for because they were not responsible with that which they had. So if you have an income, and I have an income, if I can be responsible with what the Creator has given me in terms of an income, so can you. It's not my job to carry you when you have a means to carry yourself. It's not my job to do for you what you can and should do for yourself, because I have to deal with my own situation, my own burdens. It doesn't mean that I'm never here in some extraneous situation when things get really, really hard and you have no control over that situation. It's not something that you caused yourself. Or even if you made a mistake, I'm here. But I am not your regular go-to guy. And I never will be that person, because you won't ever learn the lesson. And the lesson is called life. That's it. And that's all. Stop letting people ride your shoulders. Stop letting people become a burden to you when all they really have to do is stand on their own 2 feet and be a man and be a woman. Be an adult like they claim that they are. Because with being an adult comes accountability and responsibility. And that accountability and responsibility is not yours. It's theirs. This is Brother Teacher.